In Trump 2020 senior advisor Jason Miller to talk about this. Jason, nice to have you back on Wake Up America. Good morning. Multiple
Rob,
members of the legal team have called this trial unconstitutional. We've been talking about that for a couple weeks now. But do you expect Republicans, more members of the Republican side in the Senate, to side with President Trump here, barring maybe Mitt Romney?
Well, Rob, I think you bring up a really good point. As we saw from the Rand Paul effort a couple of weeks ago, where we had 45 Republicans come together and say that the whole effort was unconstitutional, I really do think that there are a couple of additional members that could come our direction on this. And here's why. It's been very clear over the last couple of weeks, if the Democrats have had their initial filing, and now we'll probably see another filing from them in advance of tomorrow's trial start, they haven't laid out a very compelling case. Even the stunt, the PR stunt that we saw Jamie Raskin put forward last week to try to pull President Trump in as some sort of witness and this completely unconstitutional effort, Democrats, it's very clear this is all a PR stunt.
Right.
All they want to do this week is go and try to beat him up and try to hurt him for running in 2024. And I think folks like, whether it be Senator Collins, maybe Senator Sass, I think are looking at it and really see it the same way.
I want to play a soundbite from Rand Paul over the weekend. Rand Paul is somebody who has experienced violence that was incited by the left directly. Don't forget, Rand Paul had a neighbor come over and basically beat him up. I think he broke 6 ribs. And Rand Paul was injured after, some neighbor didn't like his Republican conservative viewpoints. But here's Rand Paul speaking this weekend. Take a listen.
Zero chance of conviction. 45 Republicans have said it's not even a legitimate proceeding, so it's really over before it starts. As far as witnesses, I think unlikely to be witnesses. If they do want witnesses, there's going to be so much evidence that the president had nothing to do with this. It was planned previously on Facebook. The bombs were planted the night before. People were attacking the Capitol who weren't part of the speech. They were already attacking the Capitol while he was just beginning to give the speech down there. There's all kinds of evidence that goes against them.
Yeah, Jason, it kind of surprises me that they keep going on with Chris Wallace because these interviews are more and more adversarial. Chris Wallace no longer a soft landing point for conservatives over there on Fox. But I wanted to get your reaction to what Rand Paul had to say there.
Well, and I'd just say to that final point, but they did find a way to have Liz Cheney on yesterday to go and pop off additionally at the president, which saw a couple of the stories afterwards. And the thing that I was surprised didn't get picked up, Liz Cheney has a 13% reelect hard number in Wyoming. I mean, she's finished. I mean, they're at 13%. Even in a 3-way primary, she still finishes 3rd. So I don't expect we'll see Liz Cheney in the future. But, to this whole issue of witnesses, which Democrats have been throwing out there, I still don't see it as being likely. There's an outside chance, but I don't see it'll happen. Democrats should really think about this for a moment. Do they really want Nancy Pelosi to be brought in as a witness to explain about, to talk about their rejecting efforts from the administration and from the White House to give them additional security and additional aid in the summer months and in the run-up even up until January 6th? I don't think they want to talk about that. Does AOC want to get up there and talk about where she really was on January 6th? Because we know it wasn't at the Capitol, and AOC is taking quite a bit of heat over that. So does Chuck Schumer really want to be a witness himself to talk about the violence that he incited in front of the Supreme Court or Maxine Waters? So I don't think Democrats really want to go down this road. They can, but careful what you wish for.
This will do nothing but divide. And I can't believe 19 days ago we had inauguration. The theme of that inaugural event was America United. This is just going to upset the 74 million people that voted for President Trump. Chuck Schumer said over the weekend that he wants this wrapped up by Friday. Jason, if you were impeaching a president, a former president like we are now, which is unconstitutional, a lot of scholars say that, wouldn't you want it to be as thorough as possible?
Yeah. Hold on. Chuck Schumer. Okay, let me just make it very clear here. He is lying. No, they are going to stretch this trial into the beginning of next week. There is, for him saying he wants this wrapped up on Friday, that's like me saying I want to be 6'4", 200 pounds. It sounds like a really great idea, but it ain't going to happen.
Right.
The fact of the matter is they're going to delay it because they want to have yet another news cycle with Sunday shows. They want to drag it into another week because, Rob, at the end of the day, nothing's going to change after this. We're still going to be back at the same spot. So Democrats want to get a couple more shots in at President Trump. They see this as their last real good opportunity until hopefully he comes back and beats them again in 2024. But no, Chuck Schumer does not want this wrapped up by Friday. He wants to have this going in perpetuity, because think about it also. Do you think Democrats really want to be talking about Joe Biden right now? Joe Biden of zero COVID plan, zero economic plan, zero China plan? No, Democrats, even Democrats don't want to talk about Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, almost 3 weeks into his time in office, has yet to speak with Xi Jinping, the president of the CCP in China. It just shocked me when I read that. He's yet to talk to him.
You know, Xi Jinping has the direct hotline. I mean, he can just call Hunter or any of the other Biden family members who are on the take.
Well, he wants Hunter's book. He wants an early autographed copy of Hunter's new book. I saw an interview that you gave recently where you said that President Trump is a lot happier since leaving office, partly because he's off social media. Is that true?
Yeah, well, I had a good conversation with Sarah Baxter at the Sunday Times in London, and she's a very solid journalist, and I've worked with her a number of times over the years. And she asked the question, how's President Trump doing being off of Twitter? And you made a really good point earlier, the fact that here's where the big tech monopoly came in to try to silence the president. And, you know, I had a real, it was a fun conversation with the president about a week and a half ago, and he just brought up, he goes, you know what, Jace? He goes, I got to tell you, I feel a lot happier that I'm not kind of in that, you know, where everyone's all hateful and everyone's attacking on Twitter. And he's like, this is kind of nice. It's like, I feel like I'm my old self again. And so I think the president's absolutely fine. Of course, we want to get back on social media. And so whether that's joining an existing platform or if he goes and starts something new, everything's on the table. I know the team has had a couple of meetings on that. And, you know, we'll see him back out on social media in some aspect. But you know what? When you take a step back and you're just off Twitter for a little bit and you realize how much happier you can be in life, is Twitter just a lot of times becomes a hateful echo chamber.
Twitter is its own swamp, and sometimes it's tough to see the forest for the trees. But, you know, 3 weeks out, it's nice to hear that the president is enjoying being off Twitter. Final question, and this should be a red flag for anybody who thinks this trial is not total hypocrisy, but Chief Justice John Roberts turned Chuck Schumer down. He said, I will not preside. President Trump is no longer a sitting president. That is the point of impeachment. So instead, we get Democrat Pat Leahy, who's going to be presiding over this impeachment. What do you make of that?
Well, it's another reason why this is completely unconstitutional and there's no jurisdiction. I mean, the fact of the matter is, the only reason for impeachment is to remove someone from office. Well, President Trump is already out of office, so there's no reason to go forward with this, and that's why, you know, first and foremost, we think it's unconstitutional. But also, the Supreme Court justice is the Chief Justice is supposed to preside over it. Right. He turned him down. He knows that it's unconstitutional. But we're also going to take advantage this week to go and when the Democrats are trying to put the First Amendment on trial, we're going to go and turn that back on them a bit. This is another case where I think they ought to be careful what they're wishing for. And then also we're going to take this opportunity to defend President Trump and show the real events and the real timelines of January 5th, January 6th, because I think there's a lot of misinformation out there, and the Democrats can't have it both ways, Rob. They can't say that the president's speech on January 6th was singularly responsible for the horrific chaos and violence we saw at the Capitol, but then ignore what had happened the night before and even in the weeks before, as we've now seen from the FBI and other law enforcement agencies.
Any defense attorney would jump to take this case to defend President Trump. Jason Miller, I appreciate it. Always enjoy the expertise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Emma Reckenberg here. If you like this video, there's a whole lot more to see on Newsmax TV. You can watch for free right here on our YouTube live stream and be the first one here each time our experts break down real news. Just hit that subscribe button, ring the bell icon, and stay with us on America's fastest growing cable news channel, Newsmax TV.